Hi friends, it's Julie Golding Page, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in St. Stephen, New Brunswick, Canada, along the tidal Scudig or St. Croix River, the traditional territory of the Passamaquoddy, and I'm grateful that they share this beautiful place with us. Today I have an exciting project for you. Last week I showed you how to color cardinals using the fantastic bundle called Winterly Treetops. And I'll show you that card again today just to remind you, or in case you missed it last time. And today we're going to actually color blue jays. So let's get right to our project. And I have a little bit of news for you here first. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to let you know that I have a November special to get a free ribbon spool. And that is with a minimum $30 order before tax and shipping anytime this month. And actually today or tomorrow are perfect times to place that order because there is the seasonal sale on. And the seasonal sale has a number of discounts. I'm just going to grab my printout from the printer. I forgot to bring it over. Okay, here it is. So here are the details of the seasonal sale. So 10% off any cardstocks. That includes white, basic white, and basic thick white. So those are really useful ones. It's a great time to stock up for less. 20% off stamp and die and stamp and punch bundles, which is great. It's an extra 10% off the usual. 20% off designer series papers. This is all stuff from the annual catalog, by the way. So it doesn't apply to the mini, but the annual catalog. So lots of things. 10% off your inks, so that's ink pads, markers, refills, and Stampin' Blends, which we're going to use a bunch of today, so you might want some of those. So there's a great amount of stuff that's on sale right now, and it was more than 250 different items that are on sale when I checked last. That was, I think, yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. So lots and lots of stuff up for grabs. Perfect to stock up for the basics on your Christmas crafting and after the New Year as well. So that's on today and tomorrow. So it ends tomorrow night. So you want to get to that right away. And for my special, I often will have a special that's minimum $60 spend, but this time I have it as $30. So it's a little bit of an extra special for you as well. I also wanted to mention I have my winter online events that are now available. So I have a link right in this post that you actually, I think the link will be there later, but the link will take you to my online events. If you can't find them for whatever reason, just let me know. Just go to juliescraftattic.com and you'll be able to find them later today. But I think I forgot to put that link in. But anyways, I've got a Valentine event, 2 Valentine types events. I've got one that is featuring fireworks cards, and there's one featuring the new Otter suite that just came out. So that's what's coming up for January. A nice way to address that post-holiday blues that everybody seems to get after we put all the decorations away. And if you're here in the St. Stephen area or in Charlotte County or even St. John or Fredericton, if you're New York by and want to come, I have a holiday tag event. So you can see those are the tags there that we'll make. You'll make 15 gift tags, so 3 of each kind. And it's going to be Thursday, 5th of December here in town. So if you're interested in that event, just message me and I can give you more details and let you know how to sign up for that. Okay, but let's get to the pièce de résistance. So here we go. We have our Blue Jay card today. So here it is. And we're going to learn how to color those. And I'm going to show you the one from last week in case you missed that. If you click through to juliescraftattic.com, you can find there my post from last week that shows how to create this effect. And what I want to say is that I just figured out how to do this by looking at pictures of cardinals and then looking at pictures of blue jays and experimenting and just trying to make them look as realistic as possible. So I hope I've succeeded in that. Maybe you can let me know if you like the cards. I'd be happy to hear from you. And this was actually created for a class, so it gives you an idea of what my events and classes are like. Okay, well, let's go ahead and we will stamp first of all. we will get right into the heart of this project. So let's use our Winterly Treetop bundles. And you can see I'm going to use this stamp right here. Okay, so we're going to use this large stamp, and you'll need a larger than usual block for that. So I'll get my big one. And here's my big block. So the block I'm going to use is from Stampin' Up, and it says block E. So if you're looking for an appropriate block, it's block E. So all we're going to do first is something really, really simple. We're just going to stamp this in Tuxedo Black. And with Tuxedo Black, you may know this already, but you really need to ink it up well, or it ends up stamping a bit gray. Now, if that's what you want, if you want the distressed look, that's totally cool. But I like to have it nice and bold because I love bright colors. And I want this so that I can color it. So I definitely want it to show up really, really well. So let's do that, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's lift up, and yes, that is a nice image there. Okay, so I will clean that up really quickly with my little chamois here. You can see it's very much loved. Anybody else get a chamois like that that kind of has all these colors in it now? Still works great, and I love it because it doesn't take any chemicals at all. And I prefer to be as chemical free as I can be, so that's good. All right, so we've stamped that, and we have one other piece to stamp here, and that is this one here. So I use Thinking of You Always. If you'd rather use a holiday sentiment, you can certainly do that. This stamp set doesn't come with holiday specific sentiments, which I think makes it useful year round. So that's a really good thing. But you could always use a Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you would like. Okay. So I'm going to pull out my tag here. So this is my tag that I'm going to be using. And this is from the Designer Tags dies. Now these, I think they're not in the catalog. I'm not sure. They might be, but I know they're available online. And this is the big tag that we're using today. And then there's these other ornate ones, and I use these quite a bit actually. It's my favorite tag set. So we're going to stamp up near the top left corner, as close as we can, in Blueberry Bushel ink. So if you don't have Blueberry Bushel, you could use another kind of blue, or you could just go with Tuxedo Black, of course, if you'd rather. Okay, let's stamp as close to the top there as we can and see how we did. Oh, very nice. That looks great. Look at that. All right. So let's clean that up, and then we are done with our stamping, and we'll move right into the coloring. Okay. So maybe you can let me know, have you ever tried this particular bundle? Because I know it seemed like it was quite popular, and it was sold out for a while too. So I'm just wondering if you've given this a try and what kinds of things you've done with it. It just seemed to be begging for coloring, and I really like both Blue Jays and Cardinals. We have both here where I live in New Brunswick, and we did where I last lived as well in Toronto, and I just love both birds. So it's really, really nice to be able to color them in this way. Okay, so let's start with our Stampin' Blends, and I'll tell you which colors we're going to use in case you want to know which ones you need. And I will put a blog post about this with a full supply list later today as well. So if anybody's watching on replay, you can probably find it already, and I'll put the links in the post as well. So we have Azure Afternoon. We have these two, which are Bronze and Ivory. We have these two here, which are Crumb Cake, Dark and Light. And we have these two, turn them the right way, which are Smoky Slate. And this one, which is the Color Lifter. So we have Azure Afternoon, Crumb Cake, Smoky Slate, Bronze and Ivory, and the Color Lifter. and we're going to use all those. Okay, so we're going to start with dark as your afternoon, and I'm going to use, actually, I'm going to use the fine tip. And I'm just going to color the tuft on the blue jay. And so I'm just going to go down kind of around there, kind of brush in with some basic strokes there. Okay, so nothing too complicated. And I'm going to do the same up here. So it's just going to be a little tricky to get this line in. There you go. So you can see it actually isn't that tricky at all. You just kind of want to decide where your line is before you put it in. And you could even put it in with pencil first if you wanted, just to kind of see what it's going to look like. I tried this out a few times first to see what was going to work for me. And I was pretty happy with this arrangement, so that's why I went with that. Okay, so we have the two tufts colored in now. So I'll put that up so you can see. Very nice. Now we're going to do the beaks. So for the beaks, we're going to use dark smoky slate, and I'm going to use the fine tip again. So let's do the beaks. Those are pretty straightforward, easy. We start off with something simple. And now we're going to make these lines across. So you can see I made a line across there on the face and across here on the face and down to make it look like a real bird. So I'm going to come from the beak here through the eye and over here. Okay, just kind of like that. And over here, I'm going to go up through to the eye from the beak and then kind of feather that in. And then I want to make this other line down. So see this line, how I curved it a bit? So it doesn't have to be exactly the same every time, and yours wouldn't have to be the same as mine. That's okay. So let's just kind of do it like that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so it's just to give it some definition and a little bit of the color that's on the real thing. Okay, so we've got that done. Now we'll move on to the wings, and this is where it gets kind of interesting. So I'm going to do light azure afternoon first, and I'm going to do little dots in the wings. And what I mean by the wings is not the tail part, just the wings up here. So you can see the wing is there and there. And all I'm going to do, actually I think I'll use the brush tip for that. So the brush tip, and I'm going to put little dots just kind of randomly through that section, leaving some white in between, okay? And just trying to make it truly random. So I'll show you what I've got so far. So it's starting to look more like a J. And now I'm going to get out my dark azure afternoon, and I'm going to do the same thing again, but make sure that I leave some white in between there, because I don't want to cover it all up, because a real bird would have some white in there. And if you do decide to cover it all up, well, that's okay. That's up to you. And you can make yours look however you want. So I'm just going to kind of fill in little bits here and there, but leave a little bit of white as well, so that it still looks like an actual J. So that's getting there. I'm kind of happy with that, I think, so far. So there you go. Now they've got this spotted two-toned blue and white wing that we're working with. And now we can go on and add some highlights. So I'm going to go back to light azure afternoon here. And I'm going to use the fine tip here, and I'm going to color these lines. So see these lines right here and right here on the breast of the bird, here and here. So I'm just going to color over them, just put lines on top of the lines, and that's it. Nothing complicated. I'm not really into complicated coloring. Like, there's lots of things you can do with coloring, but I prefer it to be simple, just partly because that's what I like. And also I want to be able to show other people how to do it. And I want you to see that it's not that hard actually. So these birds, I just taught a class a couple of weeks ago where they made these birds with their Stampin' blends. And they also made these birds with their Stampin' blends. And everybody's cards looked fantastic. So it's really doable, and I think anybody can do it. All it takes is a little attention. And if you don't like your result the first time, like I didn't when I first made one, you can always do it again. Okay, so now let's go on to the tail. And for the tail, we're just going to color very simply. I'm going to use the fine tip just to keep inside the lines. But I'm going to just color very simply in Light Azure Afternoon. And you'll see there's a little bit of a difference between the bird on my card here, first card, but I think it is now. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, so we've colored Light Azure Afternoon on the tail. And now what we're going to do is add the striping that's on a real bird. So we are going to use the fine tip of our Dark Azure Afternoon and just make horizontal stripes across the tail. So that's all we're going to do, nothing complicated. It's just to add that definition that a real bird would have. And so you can sort of add a little bit there if you want on the other one. And I'm just going to put it through on this side too, so that it looks the same. There. Okay, so there you go. That's what we've got so far. And now we're going to get to a very interesting part. So I'm going to try to make the breasts of the bird look like the real thing, or at least more like the real thing. See how these ones are kind of muted color, and there's a little bit of a grayish bit that would be on the real bird. These ones are stark white. So how I created that effect was I got my light smoky slate and I brushed in just a little bit of smoky slate over these highlights. That's what I did. So I put in a tiny bit with the brush tip. You can see it right there. And then what I did was I used this color lifter. And I used the brush tip. And since it's an alcohol marker, you can color over and over and over and not pill up the paper, which is why I prefer these to regular markers all the time. So you can just kind of take the color and sort of blend it out into the rest of the bird so that it's not just all sitting there in that one place until you're satisfied with it. So you can kind of work on it for a little bit until it looks sort of the way you want it to be. And then that's kind of it. So you can see I blended that out. I don't know if it's so obvious on screen as it was when I actually did it, but it's no longer that stark white anymore. And it's got quite a bit of blending and gradation to it from that simple little step. Okay, so now we've got the birds done. So all we need to do now is color the branches and color the berries. And what I found worked with my color scheme was ivory for the berries. I tried red and that wasn't working because it didn't go with the rest of my paper I wanted to use on my card. I tried blue, but it seemed like it overpowered the birds and then you didn't really notice them as much. And so I just finally decided to go with this ivory color. And I was really pleased with how it played with my colored papers. So you can decide though, you could use a different color, whatever works for your color scheme. And now I'm going to take the bronze, and again, the fine tip on the bronze, and I'm just going to trace over these branches. So you have the branches colored in. And again, you could use whatever brown you would like to use. I went with the bronze because it kind of plays nicely with the ivory since they come as a pair when you order the markers. So I think that's really good. And right now, all of these markers are on sale for 10% off. So that is a really good deal. And if you're a demonstrator by chance, you get an extra 10% off your usual discount. So that's even better. So there is the final look. So let me know what you think of that. I was quite pleased with it, and I thought it looked at least passingly similar to the real thing. And I really liked how it turned out. So let's go ahead and we'll cut it out now. I'm just going to use my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here for that. And we'll cut this out really quickly. So I like this little machine. I take it to the cottage, and I just really appreciate it because it's so easy to tote around. It's great for crops too, and for demonstrating to people who've never seen one before, because it's so small and easy and so light. So I'm going to use the dies for that. Here are the dies. I'm just going to move this so you can see the dies. So these are the Winterly Treetops dies, and you'll see this piece of greenery die here. That's the one I used in the cardinals last week, so you can make really fancy stuff with that. And then the others are outlines for the various pieces in the stamp set. And then there's a few boughs of greenery as well that you can also cut out. But today all I need is just this one die to cut out the blue jays. So let's put that on there. And I might need to kind of stick that down with some washi so it doesn't move on me. Let me see if I can get it arranged. Sometimes it'll behave, and other times I find it doesn't. So I'm just going to try it, and we'll see how it goes. But you can make all kinds of other birds with this set too. But this one is one that I really like personally. I like to have the birds look like something that is real and around here. And I think another one of the stamps in the set, you can make it look like a robin if you wanted to color it like a robin. And there's probably lots more birds too that look close enough to these birds that you could turn them into those as well. So, but I just chose to do a couple of kinds of birds, and I'm quite happy with the ones I have because I really like those birds. So there's my blue jays, all nicely cut out. Very good. And now we can go ahead and assemble this card. So let's see what we can do with that. So let's take our packet. And this packet is set up like any packets I make for my classes and events. So you get all your pre-cut pieces. And this paper is beautiful with that gold foil. You get several colors with it, and it's called Season of Elegance Specialty DSP. So Season of Elegance. It's really nice. And it comes in some red and green as well. And it's just really, really pretty. I like this paper. And I like it as an accent for something like this. All right. So we've got that. And now what we can do is get our ribbon and put that through. Oh, excuse me for a minute. My puppy's knocking over something in the background. Okay, puppy. There we go. I hope that it will last to the end of this video because I have my puppy here. She's 10 months old. She's a wire fox terrier, and she's super nice, but a little busy. Usually she sleeps for the morning, and today she's kind of, well, antsy to do something different, I think. So we will see how this works and how it doesn't. But anyway, we'll hope for the best. So I'm just going to put a little Stampin' Seal there so I can stick down my ribbon on the back of this. And this ribbon is one that was released last year for the holiday catalog. And it is Night of Navy and Gold glittered ribbon. I think it's called glittered ribbon. Yeah, 1/2 inch wide, and it's super nice ribbon. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Oh, puppy's getting crazy. This is not good. Okay, bear with me. I might have to take her downstairs and put her in her pen in the middle of my video here because she's getting just a little bit rowdy at the moment, but we'll see if we can finish. There's not that much more to do. We're just going to put on all these pieces here now. So let's see if we can manage. So we're just going to put this on after feeding the ribbon through. And that's why I like these designer tag dies, this big one that you can put ribbon through. I think it's so pretty when you do that. So I'm just going to get on either end one of the glue dots here. And I'll get one on the other end, and we'll stick the ribbon to the back of the card. Okay, so there we go, just like that. And now I'm going to take my card base, which is basic white thick cardstock, and I'm going to put a nice crease in it. It's pre-scored already, so we'll do that, and I'll stick this on. Okay, uh-oh, she's at the door now, so okay, we'll try to get this done quickly. Sorry there, friends. This is a real life video. Maybe somebody else can tell me if they identify with this. If you get going on something and then your pet is needing something or wanting something and it gets a little bit hairy in the meantime. Anyway, you can see I'm a real person. I'm a small operation, one person here, and usually it works out to have my puppy with me, but today it's a little bit exciting, shall we say. Maybe not in the way I wanted it to be, but it's kind of funny anyway. Okay, so here we go, and I'm almost done. All right, so I can't see any comments at the moment, but if you're making comments, I will check them later. I'm happy to hear from people. Okay, so we'll stick that on with the dimensionals, and now all we need to do is add our embellishments. So the embellishments I'm using are ones that have been out for a while. They're Tinsel Gems 4-pack, and they happen to have this blueberry bushel right in there. So I'm going to put them here, one bigger one there. I'm going to take a small one and kind of tuck it into that area there. And the other one is a small one as well, and I'll put it there. So that, my friends, is the end of today's card. And if you're watching live, I will have the blog post up for you with the full supply list soon. And if you're watching on replay, thank you very much for watching. Going forward, what I'm going to do is go back to having Craft and Chat with Julie on Thursdays at 11:30. That is 11:30 Atlantic time. So you can watch on replay if that's not a convenient time for you. That's the beauty of technology. And I'll hope to see you again. So see you next week, everybody, and have a wonderfully crafty weekend. Bye for now.